Welcome back to the big program. Excited to be back this season. We have some great guests lined up. Especially excited to have my guest today with me. And I'm not just saying that because we're downtown and I need security, but the hardest hitting man in Albuquerque, Mason Posa, is our guest of the La Cueva Bears. Hey, glad to have you in, man.
Thank you.
I gotta say, upon meeting you now, out of pads, like you don't look like the meanest and hardest hitting dude anymore. But I know better because I've seen enough games, right? But
yeah.
You don't look like the meanest dude.
Yeah, I get that a lot. I mean, especially at these camps. I went to OSU, Oklahoma, and then I went to the Eastern camp. I've had like a total of like 3 guys come up to me asking, "Are you a quarterback?" But I just like laugh at it and I just show them like what I can do at linebacker and stuff.
So, you know, that's actually an insult, right? Are you a quarterback? That's an insult, isn't it?
Yeah. I get kind of mad at that, but it's like it's not that big of a deal for me.
Do you tell your quarterback these stories when it happens? You tell him, "Hey, man, they thought I was one of you guys"?
No, I haven't told our quarterback yet, but like I tell my dad that, and he just starts to laugh and all that.
Right. Now, but you guys have always had, I don't know what it is about La Cueva's defense, but you've always had some incredibly hard hitters over there. I can think back of Derek Lloydolt, Woyson, right? It seems like there's always that guy at La Cueva that just, it sounds different when he's hitting somebody, it looks different when he's hitting somebody, and the opponents are getting up a little slower.
Yeah.
And you're that guy. But that started early. I mean, it doesn't usually start as a freshman, right? So, talk about that a little bit. Like, have you always prided yourself on that?
Yeah, I mean, my dad, he's always told me that, like, and my mom too. They tell me like I hit people hard in Yaffle, and in Yaffle I was like known on my team for like a really good hitter, so I've kind of always been known for that.
Do you feel it? Like take like a tackle like that? Like do you hear the crunch?
Sometimes,
do you feel it, or you just
sometimes
kinda,
not really. Yeah. Like, I mean, there's some tackles that I'm like, oh, that was loud, but like some I like, I don't know. Like I feel like I don't hit people that hard, but.
But then what about in film? Then you see it, right?
Oh yeah, film is like, I get a lot of credit for that.
Okay, that's a pretty cool reputation to have, isn't it?
Yes, sir, it is.
Were there some growing pains right away as a freshman, or did you just go in there and just smash mouth from the beginning?
I feel like, yeah, there was. Like, I was kind of too scared to hit people when I started playing.
Right.
But then it like started to get, I started to be more physical.
And freshmen, I mean, in that program at La Cueva, freshmen don't always play, right? Because traditionally it's been a very good program, and you know, Coach Back traditionally has always kind of seniors leading the way, and you got to be pretty special to crack that program as a freshman. So what was that like? I mean, take me through. Let's start at the beginning. First day of freshman practice. What was that like?
I started off with the juniors, or I meant with the JV, and I started like getting into my flow and all that, and coaches like started to realize that I could play at the varsity level, and they started putting me on special teams, and then slowly, about to like the 5th game, they started like trusting me into putting into their defense, and then that's where it all started.
Did Coach Back kind of notice that right away? You know, he's out there with his 10-gallon straw hat, just screaming away. So you can tell I've been at practice.
Yeah,
right?
I've seen you at practice.
Right,
yeah.
so he's he's out there with this. I mean, when did you kind of first catch his eye, or did you notice? When did you notice that? Oh, all right, Coach sees what I'm doing out here.
He came out to one of my Yaffle games, and he saw that I could play on that varsity level, so he started trusting me, and then throughout the season, the coaches, like our defensive coordinator, saw that I had potential of starting, and then it just I just got to the varsity level.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the rest is history, right? So I mean, you're hitting the ground running as a freshman. Take me through the first game, right? Your first game. You know you're going to be playing as a freshman. What's that like? What's that vibe like in the locker room?
Definitely, I was in the corner of the locker room getting mentally prepared, listening to my music. I was nervous. I was
Butterflies, huge?
Yes, oh, huge. I was about to throw up. It was a scary time, but like after the first like 2 plays, it starts like those butterflies are gone, and
What's on that playlist? You said you were talking to music, right? So
Oh,
what's
yeah.
on that? Well, all right, let's do this. What was on that playlist that day? What's on it now?
so no. Usually, I listen to the same songs
Okay,
like
alright.
every game. It's kind of like a tradition for me.
Okay.
But I usually listen to Eminem and like AC/DC.
Okay. So super hype kind of get you in the right mental space, right?
Yeah.
So what does that look like once you're there and you're running through the tunnel? What does that look like, the mental space when you're ready? I mean, when
yeah.
you know, do you just know? Like, all right, I'm ready.
Yeah, like sometimes, yeah. I'll like go into like the bathroom or like in a stall, and I'll just like picture myself, close my eyes in like a game scenario, and just me hitting someone hard and me playing like very well, and I just know that I'm ready for this game, and I perform as well as I do.
What was the highlight of your freshman year if you look back at it?
Highlight was definitely my Volcano Vista game.
All right,
I
tell
f-
us about that.
I feel like that was the point where I started all my games. Like that's where the coaches knew that I was a varsity player and I could perform with all these seniors and juniors. And yeah, that's. I had 2 picks that game and like I think 9 tackles. So it was probably one of my best games I've ever played.
Right. All right. I want to pick up some more on the freshman year. There had to be some struggles, so we want to talk about that. Much more when we continue with La Cueva's Mason Posa.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth that's real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Networks.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
For certified collision and body repair, visit the experts at Car Crafters. 5 locations in Albuquerque and Rio Rancho. Visit carcrafters.com.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Back with La Cueva Bear, Mason Posa. We were talking about your freshman year. You mentioned that huge game against Volcano Vista. That was kind of your highlight of your freshman year. What was the low point of that year, or what was the biggest struggle of that year?
Definitely at the beginning, trying to get like those coaches' trust and all that to to get some playing time on varsity. I started out on JV, and going from JV to varsity practice the next day was terrible, and I thought that was I'd never get out of JV, so that was definitely the lowest part of my freshman year.
That side of the ball has traditionally been very strong, right?
Mm-hmm.
So who are some of the guys that were ahead of you at that time, right? Or that you were looking up to on the quote-unquote depth chart?
I was gonna play middle line. I wanted to play middle linebacker, and those spots were Hunter Hammaker and Dominic Diz. Hunter Hammaker, he's like a older brother to me. He works out with me all the time. He tells me what to ideas for workouts and all that, and he's really helped me get to where I am today. And his dad, I also work out with his dad too, lifting wise, and they've both given me great advice to play on the varsity level.
What has that mentorship, has there always been a mentorship like that? Because it seems like, there's always a group of seniors and then there's the next batch, right? And especially defensively there, So has that always kind of been like that, where guys kind of look up to certain guys and then they take you under their wing? And has that happened naturally, or what does that look like?
Yeah, it happens naturally. I mean, there's always that one leader on the defensive side that helps younger classmen get to that point, and they'll see the potential that's in the younger classmen, and they'll just help them get better and better.
So take us through the rest of that freshman year, Noel. Obviously you guys are having a pretty good season as usual, but just the growing pains. What were some other things that were hard to adjust to?
How big the guys were. It was weird. It was just.
Who was the opponent as a freshman where you're like, oh, man, this guy's pretty big?
Probably.
Or even a teammate. Well, let's do one teammate, one opponent where you're like, all right.
One teammate, definitely either Dev Dyer or Hunter Hammaker. Or Bowie too. I was at the beginning. I was like, oh, I don't know if I could tackle Bowie because he's a big man. He's big. So.
Devin, that's my guy. So,
Yeah, no. Dev.
I've seen him eat too. So he put it away.
Yeah, Dev. He's a scary dude. I was kind of mad because I thought he'd go at middle linebacker,
right.
But then he went to DN. So I was like, oh, I might have a shot to start.
Right. What about opponents? So first opponent that you faced where you're like, okay, this guy's legit, big, fast, strong?
Probably either Rio Rancho or.
I need you to drop names here.
Oh, names.
You can't just.
I don't know. I
don't.
I don't
be that guy. Right?
I don't remember the guy. It was just I know the team, and that team was huge. So yeah, Rio was. They were big. I mean.
And how does that fuel you? Especially then as a freshman, right? You run into a bigger guy, or you see let's say a Lucas Lucero or whatever, right? And you see guys like that. I mean, how does that motivate you, fuel you in the weight room, etc.?
I feel like that. I need to be bigger than that. There's just when I see those guys, I just know I was like, I'm gonna outwork that guy. I'm gonna get bigger than that guy. I'm just gonna work harder than him. And,
so what did that look like as a freshman? Take me through your day as a freshman. You wake up at Coach Back does practice in the morning, right?
Yeah.
So that would already that would cramp my style. I'd be out.
Yeah.
No, can't do this, right? So all right. So you're waking up at what time?
4:30.
Okay, 4:30. Very unreasonable. All right. So you're already sacrificing there. 4:30. All right. And then you go to campus, or you go
And
lift
then
first.
I go lift first.
Okay. So lift.
And then I got practice. I have 0 hour, so we either weight lift or. We practiced on the field. And then after that, I got all my schooling. And then after school, I either do more workouts or I wrestle in the wrestling room.
And we'll get into all that in a second because you're state champ there too, right?
Yes, sir.
See, let me stop you right there because I would already be at the after practice part. I'd be like, oh, well, I'm going to head home. See, so I'm not La Cueva material, right?
Yeah.
I'm already practice at 5 in the morning.
Oh, I know.
And then you have an entire day at school. That sounds like hell.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, especially for a lot of people there. I mean, it's rough on me too.
How is it as a freshman? Because obviously you probably have never seen that before, right?
Yeah.
So that had to be a hard adjustment.
Yeah, I mean, even through middle school, my dad, he would put me through workouts at 5:30 in the morning, so I was kind of immune to that. And it takes a toll on you. You start getting tired, and eventually like start sleeping in class, but
That never happened. We can edit
yeah.
that part out. We can edit that part out.
Yeah, no.
All right, now mix in wrestling into the equation because that's a big thing. So tell us about that.
wrestling, it started off really good. I started off wrestling at 170, and then
Family background in wrestling, right? So let's start there.
Let's start.
All right.
My dad, he was a 3-time state champ at Santa Fe High School.
Okay, so some pressure already, right? I'm sure
yeah.
he keeps those blue trophies and medals prominently displayed, right?
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's
all
in
right.
our garage right now as we speak.
All right. All right.
And then,
so you got a chip right away on your shoulder,
yeah.
right? Okay.
And then my dad, he wrestled at the University of Oklahoma. He was a 3-time Big 8 champion, and I believe he took 3rd in nationals his senior year.
So like that's a resume right there, right? An Oklahoma wrestler, that's big time.
Yeah.
So did you always know you were going to wrestle?
Oh yeah, I knew that from the start. My dad, he's always told me, do what you want to do, like no matter what. But like I've always liked wrestling. I feel like my parents think I'm better at wrestling than I am at football, but I like football more. But
Right.
so yeah, I started wrestling, like competing in 2nd grade, and I've been wrestling for I think 8 years, approximately 8 years. And it's just, I think wrestling's made me a phenomenal football player.
Right. How are the preparations similar? How are they different? First in the weight room, how is it?
Oh, wrestling, it's just all about conditioning.
Okay.
You just need to wrestle 6 minutes, and
Okay.
that.
So do
is
your
the
wrestling
biggest
workouts
impact.
look different than your football workouts?
Yes.
Okay.
We're probably like, I'm dripping in sweat after my wrestling workouts. And compared to football, it's just, I feel like wrestling is a harder practice than football.
So what you're saying is Coach Back is not pushing you hard enough.
Oh no, he's pushing us big time. But I'm just saying, it gets hot in that wrestling room. It's like 110 degrees in there.
Intentionally so, I'm sure, right?
Oh, yeah.
Coach does that on purpose, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, first of all, what does 2nd grade wrestling even look like? I mean, because I know I'm getting older, so I can't even remember the 2nd grade, but I don't remember possibly doing anything even remotely coordinated or beneficial in 2nd grade. Like, what does 2nd grade wrestling look like?
It's a mess. It's a mess.
Yes.
It's a mess.
I feel like that's what we should be broadcasting on Proview Network, is 2nd grade wrestling. Yeah, tell me about that. That's got to be a mess.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing. It was my first year, and it was just a very hot mess. It's just kids doing whatever they want and all of that. So, I mean, it's like not as competitive as it is in like middle school and high school, but it's like it helps you get better as an athlete.
Okay. So I want to pick up on that a little more when we come back from break. We got to take another break here, but I want to talk about what's been harder, what's been easier for you. But I do want to talk about how they come together, the sports come together, because obviously they have to benefit each other. Would you say they benefit each other?
100%. I think wrestling, it helps me tackle in football. Like there's a move called double leg. Grab someone by 2 legs and then you drive, just like football.
Would you be willing to demonstrate that on our director, Josh? No, our insurance wouldn't cover that. He's telling me in my ear our insurance would never cover that. All right, so we'll take a break, come right back with Mason after this.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
High school sports are back. You can watch every Proview Network broadcast online on the NFHS network. Every moment from every game from every sport, including all NMAA state championship games. Get your monthly pass now. Just go to ProviewNetworks.com, click on the NFHS logo, and sign up today. Watch New Mexico's best.
The energy landscape is limitless and ever-changing. Cleaner energy resources are crucial to New Mexico's environment. For 100 years, PNM has utilized cutting-edge technology and employed hard-working New Mexicans to ensure that we have consistent, reliable energy when we need it. For life's loudest moments, quietest moments, and every moment in between. We're dedicated to providing you with energy now and into the future. All you have to do is dream of what to do with it next.
Back with La Cueva's Mason Posa, we were talking a little bit wrestling, football, how they help each other. Was there ever difficulty when you were doing both now at a very high varsity level? Because, by the way, you're also a student, right? So, I mean, that's got to be hard.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's just, you have to be organized with it. It's just, you need to know what to do, when to do it, and you just have to be on top of all your stuff.
Right.
And that's what got me through wrestling and football and school.
Okay. You got to have a great support system too, I'm sure, right? So talk about that. I mean, how do your parents help keep you aligned and going the right way and organized? Because I'm not very organized to this day, so I can't even imagine what I was like back then. So how do your parents help you with that?
My mom helps me a lot. She's always on top of my stuff. She's on top of my
Like,
grades.
are we talking like color-coded calendar, OCD stuff?
Oh,
or
no.
To what
just
level?
just like saying, just get your stuff done.
Okay, good.
She wants me to have good grades. She wants me to do well in my sports, and she really helps me a lot throughout my life and throughout my academic and athletic career.
So now wrestling has already yielded some state championships, right? So tell me about that.
Sorry, say that.
You've been to some state championships already for wrestling, and you've obviously seen a lot of success there.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
Yeah, usually state wrestling, it's packed. It's amazing. I that's probably my favorite state competition. I love watching other people wrestle, and I love seeing people win and all that. This wrestling state, it's a different atmosphere compared to regular season. Because I mean, you have people in the stands probably 30 or 40, but you go to state, there's hundreds, 200. It's a lot of people there, and it's a different atmosphere and just a different feeling.
Right. One of the best sports pictures, I don't remember if it was in Albuquerque Journal or if it was on social, but was that time when you jumped into your pop's arms, right? So tell us about that moment, the emotion of that moment.
So
and give some background,
Yeah.
what led to that, and then that moment.
So I've seen my dad, he's been coaching at La Cueva since 2014. And all of his state champions have run up to him and hugged him the way he did. And I've always thought, you know what, I want to do that 4 times. That's my goal, that's my dream. That'd make my dad happy, that'd make my whole family happy. So you know what, that's my goal. And right after I won, I just straight away went to that and just hugged my dad. And it was a special moment between me and him.
All right. What does that coach relationship look like? The fact that it's dad, it's also coach, right? So, but then he's got all that hardware in the garage, right? So, I mean, what does that relationship look like?
It's a good relationship. I mean, he always wants me to do excellent at whatever I do. And he helps me. I mean, he's been to the higher level, and he knows I want to play up in D1. So that's his goal, and he wants to push me. He wants to make sure I have that opportunity like he had.
Now, the $1 million question is, do you want to D1 wrestle or do you want to D1 football?
Personally, I like football a lot more, but it's whatever gives me the best scholarship, I'll go wherever. I just want to wrestle or play football at a high D1 school.
Right. And so let's talk about that process, because you're in the middle of that process right now, right? So to people watching, what does that process look like? I mean, from what information are you sending out? How frequently are you sending it out? Who are you sending it to? Tell us about that piece first.
So I usually send like all my film to schools I want to go to, like their defensive linebacker coaches and their head coordinators. So I'll be showing them like my regular season highlights, and then my camp highlights I just posted on my Twitter. I'll send them that, and then I'll email them a lot. And I've gotten some emails back, but it's working, and slowly it'll get better over time.
And so what's the next piece is then going to camps, right? So obviously you're sending off emails, talked about how that looks like, but you've also had a very busy camping season, so tell us about that.
Yeah, the camps, they're a challenge. I mean, there's big dudes everywhere at these camps. I went to OU and OSU last week, and that was just a different world. I mean, big kids. Like, I'd be guarding kids that are like 6'6", and they're in 8th grade or freshmen, and it's crazy there. And just having a big impact at both of those camps is huge for coaches.
How many kids are at these camps?
Oh, like probably 300, 400 kids. They're a lot.
So something that I hear a lot of athletes tell me on the show is, especially when they go to camps like that, is, oh man, New Mexico kids have to work that much harder. They have to put in that much more work. The work ethic has to be that much better because they're going to get overlooked. There's going to be guys from other states that are bigger. Do you feel that as well? I mean, tell me about that.
100%. I mean, I go up to kids and ask them where they're from and all that. Oklahoma, Texas, just.
Is that when you're helping them up? You ask them where they're from?
No, it's usually kids in like my group and kids I usually guard to, and just I'm the only kid that's from New Mexico going to these camps. I mean, we had Aiden Armenta, Colt Mangino, Ian Sanchez at OSU, but they don't really look at New Mexico as like a top dog or like kids that have like very good talent. It's just, I mean, you have to work really hard in this state. So
you just dropped some really good names, most of which are coming back. You're gonna have a really stacked team next year. Is it championship or bust at La Cueva? Is that kind of where you guys are thinking, or what is it? What's the thought heading into next year?
Yeah, I mean, we're all thinking a state title. Our offense, we're looking amazing there, and our defense, we can be strong. We just need to build up to that point. And we talk about it all the time. We talk about last year all the time, and we're just hungry for a state title this year.
And what is the work? I mean, who you're getting older now. You're going to be one of the older guys soon, right? So what does that look like? Are you taking on a leadership role in that team? Who's keeping everyone committed during the summer? How do you achieve that goal where you're back here next year and we're talking about a blue trophy?
Yeah, me and a lot of the defensive guys are getting together and working out. We're probably going to start tomorrow tomorrow, yeah. And we're just all going to get together and like know what we need to do, go over drills, and we're just going to work our hardest and then lift together, go run hills together. Just we're ready for this state title and we're hungry for it.
And who do you think is going to be standing in the way on the other side? If you had to name a couple of teams, who's standing in the way of the La Cueva Bears this year?
I feel like Cleveland for sure, and Volcano, they've always had our number. It's always a good game against them. Rio, we have them first week. We're hungry for that game for sure. And maybe Los Lunas too. We'll see how they are moving up from division.
Right. And we know La Cueva always plays a tough schedule, so we have most of those games here on Proview Networks. Mason, our time here is up, man. It was really good to get to meet you, and thank you for coming in, and best of luck next year, man, and keep hitting them hard, okay?
Thank you for having me.
Hopefully we'll have you back next year talking about that trophy. Mason, thanks so much, and thank you for watching, everybody. Good night.